The events of the third part of the film Jurassic Park begin. 4 years later, on the island of Sorna, we see a person named Ben and his friend Eric trying a boat in the water, opening the umbrella and flying in the air. But suddenly a strange smoke appears in the water. When the boat passes through it, Ben and Eric feel something strange. When the boat comes out of the smoke, the boat crew has disappeared, and the boat was about to hit the rocks. So Ben had to unpack the parachute and separate it from the boat, and they land together on the island of Sorna. 2 months later, we go to the world Grant, who was playing with Ellie's son Charlie, and we know that Ellie separated from Grant and married a person named Mark, and Grant came to visit them and sat for dinner with them. Grant tells Eli that he is currently studying raptor dinosaurs, and what he knew was that raptors are smarter animals than we expected. And he discovered that raptor dinosaurs have a way to communicate with each other, and together they coordinate methods of attacking prey, and it is believed that the raptor is the smartest animal on Earth. Ellie is impressed with his words, and before Grant leaves, she tells him that if he needs help with anything, let him call her. Grant then gives a lecture on the raptor's communication ability, and says that if raptors' dinosaurs had not become extinct in the past, the raptor's descendants would have been the dominant species of the Earth, and humans would not have controlled anything. Grant then talks about the dinosaur garden, and says that John did not make dinosaurs, but made real monsters, and that there is no power on Earth that will make him go to the island of Sorna. At the end of the lecture, he says he is able to discover more about the raptor dinosaur, but he needs financial support. Then Grant goes to visit a paleontologist named Billy, and Billy had invented an important invention, a device that can make sounds similar to the sound of a raptor dinosaur. When Billy blows it, the sound coming out of the device is very similar to the sound of a raptor dinosaur, and Grant is very impressed with this invention. Then a person named Paul comes to Grant, and Paul was lying to Grant, telling him that he is the owner of a large company, and that he and his wife are very impressed with his work, and they want to have dinner with him at night. Grant agrees and takes Billy with him, and meets them in the evening. Paul continues his speech and tells Grant that he and his wife Amanda have traveled a lot around the world, booked 2 seats on a trip to different places, decided to celebrate their wedding anniversary, and rented a private plane to fly over the island of Sorna, and they want him to be with them to guide them on this trip, because he has met the dinosaurs before, and they want to point them to them from the plane. Grant strongly rejects, saying it won't be fun, and they won't be able to see dinosaurs from a high distance, plus it's dangerous. But Paul and his wife are lying again, saying they have a permit to fly at a low altitude, and in return, they will financially support him to complete his research. And Paul takes out the checkbook and says he is ready to pay whatever he asks for. Grant cares about it and is tempted by money, so he agrees. In the next scene, we see them inside the plane, and Paul had 3 mercenary men with him. After a while, they arrive on the island of Sorna, and Grant rejoices when he sees the dinosaurs again. But he is shocked to know that Paul wants to land on the plane. Paul tries to calm him down, but Grant is restless and nervous. So the guard Cooper hits Grant and he loses consciousness. When he wakes up, he discovers that they have already landed on the island. Paul apologizes to Grant for having to hit him. Grant tells him that the island is unsafe and they should leave immediately. But Paul says that's not possible. We see Amanda calling through the loudspeaker on Ben and Eric. And it is clear that Eric, who initially appeared, was Amanda's son and Paul, and that Paul and Amanda tricked Grant and made this journey to save their son. Grant is nervous because Amanda's loud voice will attract dinosaurs. And indeed, everyone is shocked when they hear a huge dinosaur screaming. Everyone runs towards the plane except Cooper, who was still in the woods, and they don't care about him. The plane begins to move. Cooper appears in front of them and asks them to stop, but the pilot does not stop. And the Spinosaurus appears and kills him, and the plane hits him, loses control and hits the trees and crashes completely. Everyone survives, and Grant discovers that the plane is stuck on a giant tree. Amanda panics when she sees the same dinosaur in front of them, and the Spinosaurus dinosaur begins to destroy the plane, smashes its front, and everyone becomes easy prey for him. The dinosaur appears in front of them, throws one of them to the ground, and tramples him and then devours him. Afraid of Grant and those with him, and they retreat to the back of the plane, and the plane falls to the ground. The dinosaur does not leave them, and continues to destroy the plane to reach them. They decide to escape without thinking. The Spinosaurus sees them and chases them. The danger does not end quickly, as the T-Rex dinosaur appears in front of them and begins to chase them. But their luck is that the Spinosaur dinosaur appears and enters a battle with the T-Rex. To surprise, it turns out that the Spinosaurus is bigger than the T-Rex. and there is a destructive battle between them. And in the end, the Spinosaurus succeeds in killing the T-Rex, and the team manages to survive. After that, Grant confronts them and asks Paul and Amanda why they came here, telling him that they were looking for their son Eric, and that they asked for help from the US government, but she refused and told them to accept it, and that they had lost their son. They explained that their son was with his friend Ben, and they decided to arrange this trip to save him. They also admit to Grant that they have been divorced for a year, and that the story of the anniversary of the wedding was a hoax. Grant asks them why they took him with them specifically, and they tell him because he has already come to this island and knows it well. So they decide to deceive him and claim that they are a rich family. Grant surprises them and tells them that he has never come to this island before, but was on the island of Isla Nublar, not Cerna. Then he tells Billy that they will go to the beach to look for a way to survive, directs his words to Amanda and Paul, and says that he does not want anyone to get in their way, and asks them to look for their son in their own way, and adds that one of them will die on this island, and he is angry that he will not even get funding for his research. Then he leaves them and goes. Paul and Amanda and Udesky decide to walk behind Grant and Bailey, looking for Eric on the way. They first pass by to take some of their equipment from the plane, and as they head to the beach, they find Eric's umbrella, and it is hoped that Amanda will see her son again. They find his camera, watch the video recording on it, and see the moment they descended on the island, increasing their hope that Eric is still alive. But while they search the umbrella, they discover Ben's body, and Amanda panics when she sees it, and escapes the shock thinking that her son may also have died, or that if he is alive, he will be alone on the island. Paul follows her and stops her. After that, they call Grant to show him a large number of dinosaur eggs. So Grant is afraid and realizes that these are the eggs of the raptor dinosaurs, and that they are now in the place where the raptors live. So he is forced to take them and move quickly. They see nearby buildings and decide to go there. Maybe they will find Eric there. But when they enter the place, they find it in a state of extreme ruin, and there is no one in it. They enter the laboratory and see the remains of dinosaur eggs and small dinosaurs placed in nurseries. While wandering, Amanda notices that one of the dinosaurs is still alive, and it turns out that this dinosaur has been freed, chasing them, and they flee to save their lives. During the escape, they are divided into two groups, and one of the raptors tries to reach Billy and Amanda, but they manage to lock him up, and everyone escapes. Grant sees the raptor making loud sounds asking for help from the rest of the herd, and the others hear the voice, and the team finds itself in the middle of a herd of pterosaur dinosaurs. So they are afraid and run away when they realize that the raptor's dinosaurs are chasing them. They could have been crushed under the feet of these dinosaurs, but they were lucky that they survived and entered the forest, and then dispersed again. Amanda and Paul climb a tree, while Udesky is attacked by a dinosaur, and Paul and Amanda see his body on the ground and think that he is still alive, and there is no dinosaur around him. So Amanda decides to go down to save him. Suddenly the dinosaurs appear, almost devouring them, but Paul quickly descends and saves his wife, and they realize that the dinosaurs left the body of Udesky as a bait to set an ambush. As for Grant, he observes the raptors from afar and tries to understand the sounds they make, and thinks they are looking for something specific. Suddenly, he finds himself surrounded by dinosaurs from every direction, and thinks that this is his end, but smoke bombs are thrown from an unknown person, and the dinosaurs do not tolerate the smell and go away. A small child appears and takes Grant to a safe place, and it turns out that this child is Eric. Grant tells him that his parents are on the island and are looking for him, and Eric himself realizes that Grant is the world famous. Grant gives him food because he hasn't eaten in a long time, and they spend the night talking about dinosaurs. Grant says to him, "I'm amazed that you stayed 2 months on this island alone and managed to live." The next morning, they come out of the hiding place they were in and head towards the beach. And Grant saw that this was the only solution for them all to gather again, because if Billy and those with him were fine, they would head to the beach. Indeed, Grant's ideas were correct, and Billy was driving with him towards the shore. On Grand and Eric Road, Eric hears his father's phone ringing. He is very happy and heading towards the voice, and he begins to call his father loudly, and his father already hears him, so he runs towards each other, and they all meet and hug each other. But there was a giant wall separating them, so Paul asked him in surprise, "How did you know where we were?" Eric answers, "I heard the sound of your phone ringing." Paul is surprised and says, "I forgot my phone with us." Suddenly the phone rings again, and the Spinosaur dinosaur appears. Grand and Eric escape immediately, And fortunately, they find a corridor and pass through it. So the dinosaur breaks the fence and passes. So the team enters a building and close the door and hide inside it. And they are safe for a while. Billy reveals the truth to Grand and tells him, "I stole some of the raptors' dinosaur eggs." Grand understands everything, and that the raptors were chasing them because Billy stole the eggs. And he realizes what the raptors were looking for in the woods. Bailey says, "My intention was to sell eggs when we return to America, so that I have money with which I can mine excavations, and I regret what I did." Grand is annoyed by him and says to him, "You are selfish, and you came out like the people who built this island." Grand decides to keep the eggs with him, even if the raptors appear again. He gives them the eggs and they save themselves. Grand sees a boat in the river and decides that they all go to it to get to the shore. But to get to the boat, they had to cross a bridge about to collapse. And the whole atmosphere was full of smoke, like the smoke we saw. When the boat crew initially disappeared, Grand crosses the bridge alone first so as not to collapse. And when he crosses safely, he calls the rest of the team to cross. But when it was Billy's turn, the Pteranodon appeared, grabbed it and flied it, and he wanted to make Eric food for his little ones. Eric attacks the birds and tries to escape, while Billy opens the parachute and sets off to rescue Eric. The birds attack Eric, but he manages to escape them and jumps and grabs Billy. Problem is that the mother of the birds comes back again and begins to surround the team from every direction. The bridge collapses and everyone falls into the water, and the bridge falls on one of the birds, while other birds appear and attack the Bailey umbrella. The umbrella could not bear to carry them together, so Eric jumped into the water, and Billy's umbrella was attached to a rock, and Billy remained hanging in this way, and the predatory birds were hovering around him. He had no solution but to free himself and fall into the water. But the birds gather and attack very Grand to save Billy. But Paul stops him because Billy is in danger, and even Billy himself was asking them not to approach for their safety. One of the birds walks behind Grand and Paul, but they swim and reach safety. Get on the boat and leave Billy alone. Grand was sad for Billy, and Eric sat next to him to comfort him. They pass the boat next to the Hernivorous dinosaurs, and they like the view very much. At night they hear the sound of Paul's phone ringing, so they are careful for fear that it will be a spinosaur. But it turns out that the phone is inside the dinosaur's belly, so they decide to look for it until they find it. Grand realizes that they can only make one call before the phone's battery runs out completely, so they think about who to call. Grand remembers Ellie's call when she told him, "If you need anything, call me," and he decides to call her. But Charlie is the one who answers. So Grand takes the phone and asks him to give it to his mother. Charlie was a little busy with the cartoon running, and suddenly and without introductions, the Spinosaurus appears from the water and attacks the boat. Grand and those with him enter the cage to hide inside it, but the dinosaur does not stop, begins to attack the cage, and the boat's gasoline leaks. Charlie can deliver the phone to his mother. At the same time, the cage falls into the water. Before Grand sinks, Ellie gives his position. Then the phone sinks and the call hangs. Everyone becomes underwater, and the dinosaur was determined to eat them. Paul manages to get out and get to the boat, makes sounds and attracts the dinosaur towards him to save his family, and the dinosaur almost eats it easily. But Grand comes out of the cage and lights a torch, and throws it on the leaking gasoline, so a huge fire ignites that scares the dinosaur. So he is forced to retreat and move away. Paul's family thinks he's dead, but it turns out that he's still alive, so they drag him and hug him. They continue their way to the beach. But before arriving, they are surrounded by the raptor dinosaurs. Grand forces his team to stop, smelling one of Amanda's raptors, because he suspects that she stole the eggs. Amanda asks Grand to deliver the eggs to them. Grand takes out the eggs and gives them to the raptors. Then the sound device invented by Billy takes out and tries to communicate with the dinosaurs, imitating the voice of the raptor who was locked up and asking for help. The raptors are surprised that humans were able to communicate with them, so they decide to leave them, take the eggs and leave. After that, they hear the sound of helicopters approaching, so they head towards the shore and find a team from the US Navy who came to rescue them, thanks to Ellie. When Grand boards the plane, he discovers that Billy has been rescued and is still alive. So Grand apologizes to him for his cruelty when he stole the eggs. Then they go back to America, and they see the Pteranodons flying next to them. And Amanda realizes that these monsters are free, and they can land anywhere on the planet. And here, we get to the end. Don't forget to like if you like the video, and subscribe to the channel if you like this type of videos, and you want it to continue.